Streaming on Max, I'm sorry, once again, HBO Max, which frankly, between you and me, I never stopped calling it, is the documentary Pee Wee as Himself. This is a very revealing, very in depth, very moving documentary about Paul Reubens, the man who is better known to the world as Pee Wee Herman. It is a two-part documentary. I want to say each part is an hour and a half to 100 minutes. They're almost 2 hours each. And just fascinating and amazing the level of, up to a point, the level of access that the filmmakers had into the Reubens archive and estate. You really get Paul Reubens looking into the camera, telling you his story, occasionally being very coy, occasionally being a little argumentative and difficult with the director. And apparently the last interviews conducted for the film was a very short amount of time before he died. So you wonder if he seemed very reluctant to reveal himself for a long, long time. Even in this documentary, he says as much, like he's like, maybe I'm telling you the truth, maybe I'm not, maybe I want to talk about some things, maybe I don't. It feels like perhaps he knew the end was near when this project began, and he felt like, okay, well, we're going to get into this now. It really did a great job at clearing up some of the controversies that surrounded him in his mid to later period, and how they really weren't much of a thing for the most part, but the media and people with an agenda kind of blew it up into a thing. And sadly, that still kind of hangs over his legacy when it really probably shouldn't. It gets into the creation of the Pee Wee Herman character, a lot of very rare footage of him developing the character, him doing the show, how the show evolved into what it was, the Pee Wee's Playhouse, that is. You get a lot of footage of Paul Reubens, but both as a kid from like family home movies and in college, student films, experimental films, live stage performances, when he went out to LA and was in the Groundlings and did a lot of things for TV. He did far more than I was aware of. I always knew that Paul Reubens, not as Pee Wee Herman, he popped up in a few things over time. Like he was in Midnight Madness, and he was on the Gong Show, and in a Cheech and Chong movie, almost as the Pee Wee character, but if not even, not probably called that at the time. So it's interesting to see all the other things that he did over time, and it's just a really good documentary. Like if you are a fan of Pee Wee Herman, Paul Reubens, you really should see this. If you just remember him from your childhood or from the period of time where he was most active, it's really interesting in seeing, just in terms of an insight into that pop culture icon, really. And it gets into a lot of things you'd think maybe it wouldn't, which I thought was really excellent. And yes, not a lot of smiling at the end of it, because we all know how it ends, and it's really kind of how it ends for all of us. So if you have, or if you do a free trial of HBO Max, highly recommend this. This is very, very good. Pee Wee as Himself.